They're science!
Put it back correctly, okay? I alphabetized them.
So next week I gotta do some shit.
You don't want us going to Earth at all for this job.
Correct.
The plant in the back said no whores.
I want to meet you and your whole crew in my estate.
You want us killing someone in hell? Because I gotta tell you, that ain't exactly.
I need to ask where's kind about that later on this week.
It's in regards to a business venture I should.
Oh, that works perfectly for me. I can eat here and hi.
Fine, whatever. What's the address?
I'm just eating breakfast, guys, and maybe go later. Today's the 11th.
Why does it sound like Moxie?
What the fuck is that?
It's a helicopter, I think. You know.
Enough with the wall shit. We have a door.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could have. Oh no, he alphabetized them. Oh no.
It's not perfect.
I mean, you're demons. You should be able to handle that stuff.
You live there. You're not supposed to be able to use. You're born in hell. You shouldn't be. And especially kids are born there.
Fancy schmuck from Greed wanting to do business with us.
I know one thing about Lucifer.
I don't think this is a good idea.
It'll be fine.
I know one thing about Lucifer. Okay, guys.
Just get going.
This is the thing, guys. Lucifer. I know one thing. Lucifer. Okay, Lucifer does not want kids in hell. Okay, I do this for a fact that Lucifer and God do not want kids in heaven or hell. They want kids to live on earth. They want them to die old and miserable, old and happy in hell, or you know.
I get it.
Before they go to hell, they should be at least there. At least need to be adult if they die.
And to dump toxic waste into the oceans.
Ugh, I hate this place.
Oh yeah, this is your old stomping ground, isn't it, Mox?
Yeah, unfortunately. I grew up just over there. Swore I'd never come back, and,
Now you're here.
Where are we going?
You're going to your house. Oh no.
This meeting was with...
Is it his dad? Is that why? Is this his father? So is that why he sounded like him? Oh no.
There he is! There's my boy.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I only let Moxie call me that. Unless you pay me. Guys, this is my... Sir, this is my boss, Blitz. And my...
Really? I'm his wife.
And what a beautiful wife you are. Mox, where you been hiding this pretty little thing?
Oh, I'm sure he would have introduced us eventually.
Oh, I'm sure. You gotta be Blitz with the silent O, right? I've heard a lot of good things about you and your work.
Really? What kind of shit has Moxie been spreading about me? I'll fucking kill you, Moxie! Don't you fucking test me!
No! I'm all over. Looks like you...
He says he's heard good things.
You kid.
Really? Huh. Well, I guess it's about time folks recognize my talent.
Oh my god, that wheeze.
I like your attitude. If you're all hungry, we put together a fabulous dinner for you.
Hey, baby. Why haven't I met your pa before?
Well, you know...
Probably a good reason.
Just never been
Hey,
around.
you two, move it before it gets cold. Look, Millie, we can talk about it later.
There's usually a reason when someone doesn't introduce you to their parents.
So, Blitz, you always been a hitman?
No, not always.
Some people escape from that
For a
stuff.
long time.
Show business. Good money in
It's
that.
happening on my phone. We're good.
What are we doing here? Sir, Moxie, I raised you better than that. You know there's no business before dinner. Besides, we're still waiting on one more. What is up, funny people? Chaz?
Who?
What?
You know...
Oh no.
You remember that ex I was talking about?
Oh no. X's and O's for sure.
Reunions today. How lucky am I?
You dated him
Yeah, no big deal, but I've usually boned half the people in any room I'm in. Are you fucking kidding me? There's someone who's fucked both of you!
It was a long time ago.
But I still remember it like it was yesterday. You know what Fletcher and
This
Mafioso
dude.
me, the dashing and extremely sexy big muscle. It was like it was written in the stars. Foxy and the mafia, that's fucking rich.
Literally, that's what his dad is.
Oh shit.
You've never told me this before. I don't really like to talk about this part of my life, but
Probably for the
I
best.
first saw Chaz at my induction in the family. Our eyes met from across the room, and there was just something about him. Something that was magnetic.
Well, that's me.
I warned you
Codfcbd
guys.
for you.
That's why I quit. You guys don't listen to a word I say. I wish Alexander was real. I wish Alexander was a real person that I knew.
It's been 84 years.
Doesn't actually happen.
Oh yeah.
I love Titanic references.
Anyway, things changed when we went on a hike.
Oh my god.
Tyler happens to be my cousin. Tyler happens to be one of my relatives. We people say we look so identical. We do not.
Gotta go. I'm greedy. That's where I'm going. To greed.
I wish I could do that, but I wish I could do that. Like change my appearance a little bit, see if anyone recognizes me.
84 years. Oh my god.
I'm Blitz. The O is silent. I'm sure we're gonna get along just fine. So what you deal, what you do, who you diddle. You look like someone who's good with a gun. You look like someone who'd shoot up an office, and I hope you are. So I got a plan to get us out of this dump, but I'm gonna need some help. You think you can give me a hand?
Imagine being in prison. In hell. Isn't hell technically a prison? So you're in prison in a prison. But
Well, like you said,
Except Imps can't go to any other reading, probably.
a long time ago.
oh, get the wreck. Crazy bitch. She'll do it.
Hell is served.
See all those marks on her knife? That's from her eating the knife. That's how crazy she is.
I suppose you want to know why you're here.
Yeah, so what gives? I mean, you know, we kill people on Earth, right? We don't normally do contracts for locals, so if you want to do business with us, you gotta...
I don't want to do business with
Wake it up. Wake it up.
I want to do business with Moxie. Me? Yeah, kid. I summoned IMP to be sure you'd show. Because, well, we're bringing Chaz into the family. What?
Oh my
Since when can just
god.
anyone join the family? Come on, Mox. You had responsibilities here that I had to pick up once you left.
Oh, shut
Now
it.
Chaz is going to lighten the load. Wait, I thought you always hated his guts. Well, I don't know if I exactly hated it. You called him a friendless horse fucker and said we lived a sissy lifestyle. Yeah, well, I was wrong. You've been gone a long time, Mox. A man can change. And so is Chaz.
Yeah, I've grown, matured, and
What's with the music that hit?
came into millions. But you
It's
know,
like we're watching an episode of Cribs or something.
okay, so the horseless friend fucker over here gets a little moolah, and suddenly it's worth wasting our time over? Well, I'm the whole package, if you know what I mean.
I got a big dick.
What does any of this have to do with Moxie?
There's gonna be a ceremony tomorrow. Moxie here is going to officially release his holdings in the organization. Then you can get back to ignoring your family to your heart's content.
Maybe he wouldn't ignore his family if they didn't force him to rub elbows with a no-good sharp-toothed fuckface.
Hey, look, everybody relax.
She will kill you. She'll do it.
Say, why don't you stay here and get some rest? We'll have the ceremony tomorrow, and then you will be free to leave. I have your rooms all prepared. Yes, sir.
Huh?
A moment, Moxie. Just give me a minute, Millie. I'll be there.
I'll be there. Whoa, don't touch her. Dude, don't leave her in a room with all them. She'll kill
You think you're too good for this family now? What? Come here.
It's like the same voice actor, I think.
I don't understand. You think you're gonna just get to walk away from this family and never come back? You're dead wrong, Mox. Matter of fact, the only thing you're right about is that obnoxious piss stain can't get made. Not unless he marries him. Marries? But who would he? Who do you think? This family needs that money. And it's about time your pathetic ass was useful for something. Sir, I'm already married. I can't... You think I give a shit about your stupid beard? Come on, Mox. I even went through the trouble of making the house more than your kind's liking.
Moscow television tonight.
От Совета министров СССР. На Чернобыльской атомной электростанции произошла авария. Поврежден один из атомных реакторов.
For the first time ever, the Soviet Union admits it has had a nuclear accident, and it's clearly a major one.
It's almost certainly the most severe accident that has ever taken place in the short history of civilian nuclear power.
Good evening, I'm Ted Koppel, and this is Nightline. It seems virtually certain that what the Soviets have experienced is a nuclear meltdown. How serious and far-reaching would the effects be? We'll talk with Dr. James McKenzie, nuclear physicist for the Union of Concerned Scientists, and with Dr. Marvin Dickerson, who is tracking radioactivity in the atmosphere for the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory.
This is ABC News Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
There is some information coming from the Soviet Union tonight, some but not much. United Press International in Moscow reached some residents of Kiev by phone. Kiev is roughly 60 miles from the site of today's nuclear accident. According to these reports, all bus service in the city of Kiev has been stopped so that the buses can be used to evacuate those in the disaster area.
Bye.
From the Hungarian capital of Budapest, there are reports of many injuries at the site of the accident. And from Montgomery, Alabama, where the Environmental Protection Agency has its radiation alert network,
I'd have to get
there
pop,
is word
couple
that
pops
radiation from
later
the
on
Soviet
today.
accident could, within a week or so, make its way over the North Polar region to the western United States. The effect of such radiation, if it reaches the United States, would almost certainly be very minor indeed. We will talk about that later. But first, an update on what we know. Here's Nightline correspondent.
There, I'll outlet her.
In the Soviet
We got water
Union,
here. We can
rarely
get pop.
news.
Yeah.
Airplane crashes are not ordinary.
I might.
Many of the Western world scientists are convinced that in 1957 or 58, a large nuclear accident occurred in the Ural Mountains, some 800 miles east of Moscow, in the vicinity of Kishtim. Radioactive contamination covered 400 square miles. The names of some 30 villages have since disappeared from Soviet maps. Evidence of a disaster of some sort is clear, but Soviet authorities have never acknowledged a problem. So it was extraordinary that Soviet TV news did report a big accident today. It came deep in the newscast, almost buried, after production reports, after lists of worker awards, and this is what it said. An accident has occurred at the Chernobyl atomic power plant as one of the atomic reactors was damaged. Measures are being undertaken to eliminate the consequences of the accident. Aid is being given to those affected. A government commission has been set up. 4 ambiguous sentences that contain nothing about injuries or deaths. But that's 4 more sentences than the Soviets usually provide. So, Western experts conclude, it must be very bad indeed. The first the world knew of the accident was when Scandinavians noticed radiation in the air over the weekend just past. Not enough to hurt anyone, but enough to frighten.
I would speculate that it was very serious. And the reason for that is that they've observed radiation levels 10 times normal from Finland all the way down to Stockholm.
Something very big indeed. Many Western scientists have said this evening it could have been a complete meltdown.
The TMI accident was nothing compared with this. The TMI accident noted moderate exposures, really, like an X-ray within a mile or so of the plant.
That was 7 years ago this spring, and nobody was killed, and very little radiation got out despite all the alarm, because at 3 Mile Island and all other American nuclear power plants, there's a containment building, a short, squat silo made of very thick concrete with an awful lot of steel in it, an expensive addition to the plant, which is supposed to contain radiation if anything goes wrong. Most Soviet nuclear power plants do not have such containment structures. Are they necessary? This is what can happen, and apparently has happened in Russia, as described by correspondent Marshall Frady in an ABC News close-up last summer.
The worst that can happen involves
Hello?
cooling water around
Hello?
fuel rods. Even if the plant operation is immediately shut down, the uncovered fuel rods would reach an extraordinary heat, soon melting themselves right through the reactor vessel, the beginning of a total meltdown. Ultra-hot radioactive material would drop to the floor of the chamber, burn through deep into the earth, possibly releasing enormous amounts of radiation. Radiation from any source can attack the thyroid, the skin, the lungs, the spleen, the liver, the kidneys, the bone, the muscle, the reproductive organs. Its effects, cancers, genetic mutations.
Very little radiation has been detected in Finland, Sweden, Denmark. It's a lot more than normal and alarming, but still not harmful to humans. However, close to the Soviet plant, it must be another story. The chief nuclear scientist for the Electric Power Research Institute in Palo Alto, California said tonight, if the radioactivity is a few millirems 700 miles away, I'd hate to be within 10 miles of the site.
What's wrong with that?
People who live near that plant. Chances are, whatever they know, it's by word of mouth only. Indeed, it is Budapest Radio in Hungary, which tonight reports in...
I like to redo a video over again.
...says that the radiation leak occurred next to a reservoir which serves the large Soviet city of...
I like to redo a video.
We have not had the heavy regulation, the media pressure, the legal pressures that our nuclear industry has faced. Add all that up, and you have to ask yourself, can they be watching safety as closely as our industry has been forced to, or is it normal human instinct to cut corners?
The Soviets might well have said nothing about this accident had not the wind blown the fallout over their neighbors in Scandinavia. Did some of the radioactivity go also to East Bloc nations? It is difficult to imagine a southeasterly wind from Kiev near the accident drifting toward Denmark and not touching Poland, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, perhaps Hungary, countries that are several hundred miles closer to the trouble than Scandinavia. But there's very little official word from any of those nations. For the moment, it may be safe to say that Western Europeans, Americans, and the world in general have a better sense...
This video is real poor and not up to my quality.
Jed Duval for Nightline.
Later on, we'll be talking with two experts on
Poor
nuclear power.
and up to my quality.
Return the impact on the Soviet Union. We'll be joined by Soviet affairs expert Dmitry Symes of the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and by Marshall Goldman of the Russian...
This video is extremely poor and terrible. I need to redo it someday.
And pollution problems. Joining us live now in our Washington Bureau is Dmitry Symes, Senior Associate with the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace and an expert on the Soviet Union. And Marshall Goldman, Professor of Economics at Wellesley College and Associate Director of Harvard University's Russian Research Center. Gentlemen, we are going to have to infer from your knowledge, to a large extent, what has happened there this evening. And Professor Goldman, I wonder if you would help me Just in terms of geography, we have a map, in fact, that you brought in. We've done a little bit of colorizing to that map, but let's take a look at it. There at the bottom we see Kiev. Up at the top of your screen, you can see the little nuclear symbol. That is the location of the nuclear plant. And what, Professor Goldman, is that body of water?
Well, my assumption is that it's the reservoir for the water supply of Kiev. This is the way the Russians usually do things. They upstream of the major city, as in Moscow, they will use the water supply. They'll dam.
I'd like to redo it again.
It's possible, therefore, that this reservoir has been contaminated because it's really an enlarged Dnieper River, joined by the Pripyat River, and that's where the nuclear facility is located.
It's not far from JD's truck stop.
The other cities up north where the air cloud is moving, but also the water supply of Kiev that's been affected.
No, I just need to redo the video.
It is roughly 60 miles from Kiev to the nuclear plant.
It's not that far from US 31.
5, 10, 15 miles from the plant to that water supply?
Lloyd, the likelihood is the plant is located right on the river, and so it's a question that could be 5 miles.
It's just a little bit down.
It's partly speculation, but my assumption is that it's very good speculation.
Now, tell me a little something.
It's just down the road from Redbud Trail.
Dependence on nuclear energy. How dependent have they become over here?
Well, it now comes
where I used to live.
9% of their total electric supply. Their goal is to make it much more because their energy supplies, coal, oil, have been depleted.
I don't want to go inside.
And so they instituted a regulation, basically, which says that
I just wanted to do another video like I did before, outside the building.
Will be nuclear energy, and they build them in large clusters. There are actually 4 reactors operating at this particular facility. The first one was built in 77.
I just want to do another video outside the building for safety reasons, but I need a camera guy that can hold the camera while I do it.
And this is really going to put a crimp in their efforts to bring about more nuclear energy.
Mr. Simons, what can you tell us? We have kind of jumped to certain conclusions about...
I'll do another video.
...and about the Soviet Union under Gorbachev. Is it likely that we are going to learn any more of what has happened?
I'll just do a video I did outside, like I did before.
First of all, they obviously will have to tell something. When they announce major disasters in the Soviet Union
I just want to do another video.
On national TV, they always will tell, as they told us tonight, that there would be National Commission of Inquiry.
Just want to make a proper video.
Publicly report findings of this commission. But they would tell very little about casualties. They would tell very little about real reasons for the disaster. They would provide a very brief summary, and usually the summary would be rather misleading.
Now, Kiev is
802 Carroll Street, Buchanan, Michigan,
even in the Soviet Union,
is a nearby postal.
Ted, there will be many rumors. And there will be so many rumors, so much different...
802 Carroll Street
very difficult to determine what has
is a nearby postal.
But I think you asked a very good question. Here we have a new Soviet leader who was so much praised for openness. And they made this announcement only when they absolutely had to. When the Scandinavians detected this reaction, their instinct was to wait as much as possible and not to reveal the truth to their own population.
Where I used to live. What's that? My old address. I used to live down the street from it.
Let's take a look now at...
So if I do get a new video, yippee. If I don't...
If you would just look at your monitors, you will see there again is that nuclear symbol just at 11 o'clock above Kiev. And then over there to the left, Poland, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and up to Finland. Does it seem reasonable to assume that that nuclear cloud, that radioactive cloud, made its way across Eastern Europe? And if so, are we likely to hear anything more, Marshal Goldman, from Eastern Europe than we're hearing from the Soviet Union?
I think we're going to hear a lot more from Eastern Europe because they've been very much concerned about these things. We're also going to hear from some of the other major cities inside the Soviet Union, Minsk, the Estonian Republic, the Latvian Republic. There are some very major cities in that area. And, you know, just like in the United States when we had 3 Mile Island, Jim McKenzie said earlier that it didn't compare at all in its magnitude to what's happened recently in the Soviet Union. And I think the Soviets are going to be very frightened about it as a result. They've been very cavalier about energy in the past and how they've treated their safety precautions, and now it's going to come down on them.
All right, gentlemen, we want to hear from some of our scientific experts who are with us, and when we come back, we will focus on the potential effects of the accident with Dr. James McKenzie, in charge of nuclear power research for the Union of Concerned Scientists, and with Dr. Marvin Dickerson of Lawrence Livermore Laboratories, who is tracking nuclear fallout from the accident. now live in our Washington Bureau, Dr. James McKenzie, a nuclear physicist who was formerly with the President's Council on Environmental Quality and is now a senior staff scientist for the Union of Concerned Scientists, a public interest research organization. And Dr. Marvin Dickerson, who joins us live from the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California, one of 2 nuclear weapons plants in the United States. Dr. Dickerson is project director of a group that tracks radioactivity in the atmosphere and is closely monitoring conditions in and around the Soviet Union. What so far? Anything?
Well, at the moment, we have been collecting the weather data, the weather pattern data, for that part of the world over the past 4 to 5 days. And that's where we've been concentrating our efforts thus far, so that we can begin to build a case on the transport of the material out of the Soviet Union and into the Scandinavian area.
How important is that weather data to you? And more importantly, how important is it to us here in the United States? In other words, do you share the point made by that man from the EPA down in Montgomery, Alabama, that theoretically this could wend its way to the United States eventually?
Theoretically, that would certainly be a possibility. However, from what I understand, from what I've heard in the media about the levels of the activity, even though they should enter the U.S., they would be at extremely low values.
So nothing to worry about?
I would not, no.
All right, Dr. McKenzie, let's backtrack a little now to the Soviet Union. Do you share what seems to be the widely held belief that this was, in fact, either a partial or a total meltdown?
It would seem that way, Ted. They have detected, according to the people that I've spoken with, fission products in Scandinavia, specifically in Sweden, both iodine and cesium. And these are part of the fuel and can only get transported out if the fuel were to melt. So it looks as though there was an accident that certainly led to the release of these fission products. And although the cartoon that was shown earlier is of a U.S. reactor, and it's a little bit different in the Soviet Union, the effect is the same, which is that a large amount of radioactivity apparently got loose and got transported at least 700 miles to Sweden and up to Finland.
All right. Now, if the map that we've shown you is accurate within 5 or 10 miles in any direction, and indeed that nuclear plant is right on what appears to be the water supply for the city of Kiev, how important would that be? How drastic would that be for the citizens of Kiev?
Well, a lot depends on how the accident evolved, and we just don't know. But certainly there's a lot of radioactive material that could get into waterways like that. And if they did, it would take some time to set up any kind of a treatment plant to try and remove them. So if the water is contaminated, then I think there's a real potential health risk to people drinking it.
Dr. McKenzie, we were just looking at that map of Eastern Europe and going up into Scandinavia. Mm-hmm. I'm not quite sure how to phrase this. At which point does it cease to be dangerous?
Well, from the news reports that I have heard and seen, and from talking with people in Stockholm this morning, I would guess that the people in Sweden would be getting the equivalent of an X-ray or two over the course of this accident.
Now, what about the people in Poland? Let's assume that map of ours and that cloud of ours, I mean, the map is correct. I'm not sure about the cloud. We won't really know about that for some days, I guess.
Obviously, the closer you get to the source, the higher the levels of radiation. And there, I don't know whether Dr. Dickerson is doing any back calculations, but it should be possible, knowing the meteorology, to do some estimates of what the exposures would be closer to the plant and get a better sense, therefore, of what kind of casualties we might expect.
Dr. Dickerson, why don't you pick up on that?
Yes, that would be possible. For example, we did that during the 3 Mile Island accident because we had good measurements. We had access to good measurements, and we were able to take our models, our numerical models, and take the measurements and do the calculations and estimate the source term. And that is a doable thing to do.
You are going to
if it's possible.
What, the nature of the meltdown based on the study of wind patterns and what you're finding, for example, in Scandinavia?
Well, we can estimate, if we have the proper measurements, we can then go back and calculate approximately the amount of material that was released. We have to know something about the timing, of course.
No.
And the timing is crucial in terms of the accident.
Dr. McKenzie, tell me something about the nature of this radioactivity on the food chain. I mean, obviously this is in an inhabited area. What's going to happen?
At least I was told this morning that iodine had been detected, and that's one of the most serious elements to worry about. Iodine can be absorbed directly by breathing, and it can accumulate in your thyroid and cause thyroid cancer in sufficient doses. And it can also accumulate on grass, be eaten by cows, and go into milk. So I would imagine that countries, Scandinavian countries, Eastern European countries, would be beginning to monitor their milk, looking for iodine. And for those countries that might be receiving direct exposures that are high, they might be considering the distribution of potassium iodide tablets to try and block the iodine from getting to the thyroid.
And is there any way, for example, of cleansing the water? If that is Kiev's major water supply, that would be a horrendous problem, wouldn't it?
I would think so. I mean, they can remove radioactive elements by...
Okay, that's enough of that.
Presuming facility, and there's a lot of...
Time to go live.
Gentlemen, let's take a break.
We're going to open it for the channel.
Continuing our discussion now with Dimitri Symes. What's going to be, and I hate to use the word fallout, but what's going to be the economic fallout of the Soviet Union?
It's very little, because let's face it, in the Soviet Union they don't have independent media, they don't have nightline shows, they don't have the Union of Concerned Scientists, they will have the Government Commission, the Commission will present recommendations, they will build containment buildings, concrete protection structures, but as Marshall Goldman observed, they have very little choice but to move in the direction of nuclear energy. They have no other options, so the fundamental Soviet economic policy is not going to change.
Marshall Goldman, you and I were talking.
Okay, there's something I gotta make real quick. So you see here.
When we speak about Soviet openness and everything is relative now.
I should write this up real quick in this pad here so I know what I'm doing real quick.
In 1981, although not as serious, there was of course the thing that you mentioned earlier in 1958. And the communique that was issued said this is the first time such a thing has happened in the Soviet Union.
And of course it's not.
And it's not. I would say one other thing, by the way, Ted, there may be some international fallout in that sense that this may make the Russians more amenable to coming back.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. That's wrong. Anniversary.
Under the assumption that the containments will always hold, because as we see, if they don't hold, it can cause a very serious accident indeed.
All right, Dr. Dickerson, in the last few
Anniversary.
Do you think
Anniversary.
impact on nuclear energy in this country? Because obviously opponents of nuclear energy are going to seize on
Here's
this
the
and say,
definition of
"All right,
anniversary. The date on which an event took place in a previous year.
I think we need to make more of an assessment of the accident.
Here we go. Thank you.
Really say what the impact's
Okay.
going to be.
When do you think you're going to have your picture together?
We're hoping within a few days we're able to start to put the quite a bit of the picture together. It depends on getting information, which is always a problem in a situation.
You see how many letters I have to work on? Then I'll start working on it.
Dr. McKenzie, Professor Goldman, Dimitri
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. So 37. So 37. 37, okay. These size is only be used for a day anyways, it doesn't really matter. I'm not keeping this. This is only gonna be for a day. This is only for a day. This is only for 1 day anyways. It's gonna be used for 1 minute, so yeah, it doesn't really matter. Let's turn this off. Watch that. So yeah, I'll take my time working on this, and that's it. Still got these I'm not gonna use for a while.
Got one coming out of the pool, and got one and I don't got stuff that goes on the inside. Okay.
Deputy Sindak may seem casual, but he's hard at work.
Why?
He notices the slurred speech and rambling thoughts.
Let me ask you something before you go on.
T.Y.
Certainly not accusing you of being part of this activity if you're not, okay? But
T.Y.L.
The man agrees, but he nervously drops things everywhere. Moments later,
E
What the man is hiding.
T-Y-L-E.
It's something, all right. 5 ounces of crystal methamphetamine.
Oh.
A powerful and illegal stimulant. Crystal meth is known to make the user insanely violent. A cooperative suspect would turn vicious in a second.
Okay, I want to have sex right now. Okay.
Lashing out at the officers.
Whoa.
The suspect breaks free and runs.
Okay, you see here. Okay, you see here. T Y L E R.
The man collapses, and the deputy takes him in.
T Y L E R. Milk. No. What? T Y L E R.
Minutes later, an angry homeowner videotapes the damage.
M E.
The skid marks tell the whole story. The car was driving too fast to avoid careening onto the property.
M.
Police arrive to take a report. As the family continues to videotape, they capture something incredible.
E L.
Unbelievably, the suspect is spotted on the next street. Police take off in hot pursuit. But the homeowner knows how fast the suspect's car can go.
E L.
Moments later, the Nissan
T.
rounds the corner. Amazingly, the homeowner captures the heart-stopping action as the car loses control. And rolls
T
over and over,
Y
resting in
L
a twisted mess.
E
Seconds later,
R
police pull up
M
a smoking wreck,
E
and a family
L
member rushes to help.
T O N S.
What police find is startling. The suspect is a drunken 16-year-old kid with hardly a scratch on him. His homeowner turns on his video camera, expecting to record the results of reckless driving. But he never expected that lightning would strike twice. And that this time, he'd be there to capture it all. Still to come, on world's wildest police video. Cops versus criminals, head-to-head. Rioters on campus go toe-to-toe with police. Hand-to-hand combat with roadside brawlers. It's wall-to-wall action. Next. Due to the graphic nature of this program, viewer discretion is advised.
That means definitely never.
The unpredictable, unimaginable, unbelievable. Faced with this kind of madness, the only thing an officer can trust, that's gotta get him out of there, is instinct.
Some people think they're above the law because of who they are or who they know. They're wrong, and they only realize it when it's too late.
In Sargent County, North Dakota, sheriff's deputies begin following this car because of a missing plate. But when the driver pushes speeds over 100 miles an hour, this becomes a chase. Suddenly, the suspect cuts the speed in half and takes a hard left. He then stops without warning. This deputy is about to learn what kind of maniac he's been chasing. After calling in backup, the deputy draws his weapon and approaches the car. What he finds is shocking. The suspect is the 18-year-old son of a local police officer, and he's holding a sawed-off rifle to his own head.
Oh, Daddy's gonna be pissed.
He's had to deal with this young man before, but this
Your
time
daddy can't help you now, asshole.
Suddenly, the armed suspect roars away in a cloud of dust.
Someone-
Backup arrives and the chase pursues.
Your daddy's.
The
Daddy.
suspect pushes the car too hard. His engine blows. The sedan is disabled and stuck in a ditch, but the danger is still very
I don't know what these
real.
are, so I'm gonna put these up.
The deputies persuade the man to step out of the car. He raises his shirt to show he's now unarmed. but the deputies are still cautious. This suspect may be related to a fellow cop, but he gets no special treatment here. The deputies take him down and slap on the cuffs. It's over. The young man was convicted of weapons charges and fleeing a crime scene. Consequences, 2 years in jail. Because when it comes to the law, it's not about who you know, it's about what you did. In some countries, students protest for political reform or against human rights abuses. Why are these American students rioting? They want easier access to beer and liquor. Illinois State University. The city council has ordered bars to close early Halloween Eve. In response, angry and drunk students defiantly gather in the streets. At first, they only want to party and dance. Their party turns ugly when they overturn a parked car. Across the country at Penn State University, students protest against the university's new dry campus policy. There's nothing peaceful about this protest. They trash their campus, setting fires and destroying everything in sight. Next, they go on the trail, but it's not enough. They look for something bigger. They find an even larger light post, but this one weighs hundreds of pounds and has thousands of bullets running through it. It comes crashing down, right in the middle of their drunken party. Luckily, no one is injured. At Washington State,
if you don't mind,
flock to the streets to protest their school's new anti-drinking regulations.
One reason why this happened right here. This year, what was it we tried?
The students rally around a huge fire in the middle of the road.
What are we doing? We're having a good time.
Minutes later, riot police are on the scene. Some rioters claim to have been inspired by another more violent.
University of Colorado? This happened, I don't know, a couple years ago. Yeah, Colorado.
University of Colorado. Angry students turned the campus into a war zone as police battled one of the worst riots in state history. Some students come to college to get an education, some to party. But when they get out of hand, the riot police have no choice but to give these students an education in law enforcement.
This is how they party, then I think we got a real problem here.
Red Bank, Tennessee. Officer Mike Haynes is in pursuit of a teenager who refused to stop for speeding. The desperate teen does all he can to shake Officer Haynes. Racing his four-wheel drive down rain-slick back road.
Hi, Tiff. What's up?
But at every turn, he still finds the seasoned veteran right in his rearview mirror. It appears that the teenager is calling it quits. Until he does this. Taking full advantage of his four-wheel drive, the suspect barrels down what used to be a dirt road. Right now, it's a mud road, and that could mean trouble for Officer Haynes. The suspect cuts through the rugged
Mom! I think it's weird. Okay, I gotta get the camera off.